now on YouTube and Facebook. Let me double check on this just to make sure that we're good to go. It's my first time streaming on Riverside Live to both Facebook and YouTube, so we're going to see how this does. Hopefully we're good to go. Take a look here. Hang tight if you are hopping on. I believe if you are hopping on and you have, let's see here, anything in the chat or whatever, if you're commenting on my stream here, that I should be able to see that. So make sure you do jump in and say something, say hello. If you are here, I know we're a couple minutes early, but I want to make sure that this was going smoothly. Let me double check here. You might hear some background noise. We're a couple minutes early, but I want to make sure. Okay, cool. We're good there. And let's see here. You jump in and say something, say hello. If you live on YouTube. All right, cool. Well, this is working beautifully. So we shouldn't have any issues. Once again, if you are hopping in live on my stream here, make sure to leave some comments because I am getting those from YouTube and Facebook. So if you do have questions, we are going to be taking those live. So I'm planning on going live for 2 to 3 or from 2 to 3 hours, from 2 to 3 Central Time, which is an hour. And I will stay on as long as I need to. If I have one question, if I have no questions, if I've got 50 questions, I am planning on happily answering every single question that you guys have today. This is day 1 of my 5-day content marketing lab live. And again, this is the first time that I've done this. I didn't really market it hard. I wanted to see how it would go in terms of testing with live video and that sort of thing, which a lot of what I do with my own content is testing as well, because I do offer a service to clients to manage their content marketing, whether it's podcast, YouTube, or social media. So I do a lot of testing, and this is one of those tests that's going to be going on. However, I will say that I will be pouring a lot into this. There's a lot of prep work that's gone into this. So I'm not fully expecting a lot of people to hop in on the live feeds, but I am utilizing this as assets for later on down the road as well, creating some other course material or a book or something like that. So whether I have one person hop on live or 100, I'm not expecting a lot of people, but I am going to kind of preach my heart out here about every topic that we have going on. So as I talk about that, so what I'll say is, let's see here, it's right at 2, so I'm going to be hopping in here in just a second. But for those of you who don't know, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb so I don't get disturbed by anything coming in. And then I am going to be going live on Instagram. So give me 1 second. I'll give some people some time to hop in here. I hate typing on my phone sometimes. Okay, there we go. We're going to go live in 3, 2, live on Instagram, going live on Facebook. Instagram live. So I'm going to be live for my 5-day. So I'm just going on now. Content lab live here. It's day 1, and today we're going to be talking about okay, back. Make sure that this is going. I'm so sorry, guys, if you're hopping on. Please do not leave if you are joining me today. Let me see here. I'm just wanting to make sure that my feed is still strong. Let's check it out. Facebook. They were going to be talking about. It's a little choppy. Oh, it cut out there. Okay. My feed is still strong. Okay. Hang tight, everyone that's watching. And obviously, if you're watching this post, which I'm assuming most people are going to be watching this after it goes live, then feel free to obviously fast forward a little bit. But we're only 2 minutes behind, so let's check out, make sure that live on YouTube. Okay. Hang tight, everyone. Okay, I think we're okay there. So actually, let me reopen that tab. How do you reopen a tab in Safari? I know how to do it on Chrome. I do it on Chrome all the time, but let's see, Josh Color. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna leave that there. Make sure I'm good here. Once again, thank you guys for sticking tight with me. A little choppy. Oh, it cut out there. Okay. Once again, thank you guys for sticking tight. All right, we're just gonna roll with it. So if you guys are joining me live once again, I appreciate you hopping in. So this is a test. This is going to be me testing this new thing that I'm doing. I've never streamed live on Riverside before, so hopefully I don't have another breakage here, but I think we should be good. I tried to go live on Instagram, and I think that's what threw it off, so hopefully we don't have that issue anymore. However, I do believe that I have comments feeding from YouTube and from Facebook, so if you are joining me on either one of those, then feel free to comment and ask any questions. I do want to take questions on anything that I have going on here, because I wanted to make this an interactive piece as we, and I'm going to try to go live on Instagram again, but without my Wi-Fi. There we go. Okay, so we're going to try to do this on Instagram again without Wi-Fi on, so hopefully that doesn't choke up my internet speeds and we won't lose Riverside again. So welcome, Instagram. All right, cool. So we're going live on everything. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 3 reasons why your content marketing either is failing or is like not getting off the ground at all. Because here's the thing that a lot of people overlook when it comes to, if you're running a podcast, social media, YouTube content, or whatever it is, a lot of people like to overlook the basics and the fundamentals. Now, I'm not here to like just preach consistency to you, because I think that's something that, obviously a lot of people really overlook consistency and they think it's just way too easy. And a lot of people that I deal with, I've been doing what I do today for 13 plus years in the real estate investing space specifically. But what I do is just principally, like, you can do it in any industry that you're in. I always use the donut shop analogy. But in the 13 years that I've been doing this content creation in any form, everybody overlooks consistency, but they know what it is. So I don't sit here and just start talking about consistency and saying like, you need to stay consistent. Everybody knows they need to, just very few people want to. And that's not just content. Like, a lot of people, it's very uncommon to stay consistent in anything, in a job, in spirituality and praying and eating right or going to the gym. It's just, consistency is a very difficult thing. We know it's a very fundamental and basic thing, but it oftentimes gets overlooked. And today, what I want to also talk about are some things that I believe most people know when it comes to how your podcast has failed or not even gotten launched and off the ground. Like, you've been in the ideation phase for 6 months and you haven't launched it yet. There's normally 3 reasons why it either doesn't get off the ground, or it fails, or you started it, you ran it for 6 or 7 months, and then it stopped all of a sudden. And again, my years that I've been doing this, I've boiled every single reason down to 3 core reasons. Normally there's like symptoms to these, but there's 3 core reasons that we'll go over today and kind of dissect what that looks like, how to get through them. And each one of those 3 does have some kind of subcategories underneath it. So I want to break that down. But again, I'm going to be like on here going through these things. I do teach this stuff at like masterminds that I go to, and also if you follow any of my content, if you're on my podcast or my YouTube channel, whatever, you probably have seen me talk about these things before. But today I'm going to go really, really deep into those, because those topics I spend maybe 10, 15 minutes tops on them. But today I'm going to be going a little under an hour, but I want to reserve some time for Q&A if you guys are wanting to ask any questions. So if you have any questions, drop those in the comments. Again, I am streaming live on Riverside, so hopefully this is smooth coming out on Facebook and YouTube. So have patience and some grace if it's not. If it's not, then obviously this will get posted live afterwards. to my feeds. So then you can obviously ask questions at any point. Like if you're watching this 3 days from now or 3 weeks from now, feel free to post a question down below. At the end of this as well, I'm not going to be pitching you guys for anything. I'm going to offer you one thing that's absolutely free, and there's no like pitching on the backside of that free thing either. But I am going to be also offering to give you guys a guide, checklist, and kind of a questionnaire for you to go through at the end of each one of these sessions that I have. So we're doing today through Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 o'clock Central Time. If you can make all of them, amazing. If you can only make one of them, amazing too. But feel free to let me know that you're here in the comments, and I would love to interact with people and make this kind of like a interactive session as well, kind of like a workshop style, if you will. So that being said, I think we're good on our stream at this point. Let me test it one more time, just see that we're rolling, and then we'll jump into today's topic. Okay, looks like it's doing okay on Facebook, and then let me test it one more time, just see that we're doing all right on YouTube. All right, cool. YouTube looks like it's doing well. Facebook, for whatever reason, it looks like it's not. So anyway, all right, let's go ahead and hop in. So I am going to be, if you're live on my Instagram feed, then say hello. I do have some slides that I'm going to be sharing, and also if you do want the slides after this, then I will also be sharing those with everybody. So don't hesitate to ask about that and let me know. We'll be doing some like live demonstrations. I really want to make this like a very interactive thing. So we'll be doing some like, testing, some kind of case studies and stuff like that. So you guys feel free to follow along as you can. So let me crack this open, share my screen, and we're going to do that tab. Also share audio. Okay, I don't have any audio, but that being said, we're going to go through this here. Let me, can I just do that? Okay, cool. Sweet. All right, I think we're good here. So, first things first is, if you don't know much about me, I'm not gonna spend the next 10 minutes going over my life story and all that. Like I'll give you a 60-second briefing on who I am, what I do, and that sort of thing. But I got into the real estate investing space pretty much right out of high school, a couple years out of high school, right when I was 19 years old. So I've now been in it for 13 plus years. I worked for a local wholesaler that is in my market in Northwest Indiana. I live right outside Chicago in Cedar Lake, Indiana. And I worked with them for about 6-7 months, and then made a move to my good buddy Gary Harper hired me, and he was partners with a couple other people in the Midwest here doing a wholesaling organization. And I eventually became the marketing director for that company and ran that for, I believe it was ended up being about 6-7 years. And then that company kind of split up, and a lot of people just kind of went their own ways. I ran a mastermind that we had started all together. And then March 2019, I went full time into what I'm doing today. However, I have always been doing what I do as a side hustle. So video content, podcast production, YouTube management, social media management. I've literally done it since high school. So it's been quite some time. So I have worked with over 300 people in the real estate investing space on many, many different projects. I do travel out to shoot video with people. I do consulting. I do social media management, podcast management, YouTube management, all the above with that kind of stuff, and just everything in the organic content and video content space. So that's kind of what I do. I've done this for quite some time. I want to give you some context of what I'm going to be going into. And because of that, I've ran around with a lot of different people when it comes to, especially on the consulting side, I get to hear a lot of, well, we started up our podcast, but then we ran into this issue. Or I wanted to start up my social media, but then I ran into this thing. And again, as I kind of started off, if you missed it, normally in the world of content marketing, especially organic, and even in marketing in general, oftentimes I look at 3 reasons why content marketing fails in any capacity. And it always boils down to one of these 3 things that I'm going to go over today. So I want to crack these open. But before I get super deep into those things, I kind of want to give you some context as to why we do content marketing in the first place, like social media. Why are you starting a podcast? Why are you starting a YouTube channel? Why are you starting social media stuff? I think a lot of people will go to, and I'm in the business space, so I only work B2B with business owners. And I think a lot of people get into this kind of grind of, they went to a mastermind, presented, somebody in the group told them, you need to get on social media, you need to start a podcast. And then they do it and they have no idea what they're doing it for. They go in blind. They're literally blind firing their marketing, throwing spaghetti at a wall. And all of a sudden they get into it and they're like, I have no idea why I'm doing this. So I'm going to shut it down, wipe my hands clean, chalk it up to that didn't work, and never try it again. But the bottom line is that they didn't know what they were doing it for in the first place. And they had no context around it. They had no direction. They didn't have the proper people set in place to really help execute it for them. And they become a bottleneck for themselves. No expectations, no direction, no processes, no systems, no goals, nothing. They just started because somebody told them they needed to. So with what I do, I will tell you this. The people that just start things like that without any kind of direction, normally you won't see any of their stuff after 3 to 6 months. And it's just because they fall off because they don't have a reason to stick around. So I'm not looking to tell you that you need to create this massive, like, full-blown plan and like spend months on end creating an actual system for what you're building out, but at least have a very simple direction on where you're going. I call it the North Star. I go around to masterminds talking about this specifically. It's just a simple concept. It's like the one thing that you're trying to accomplish with your business, everything that you're doing from social media, from YouTube, from literally any marketing, not just the content side of things, needs to point to that in some capacity. Because starting up a project just because it's a passion project or whatever, that's not going to pay the bills necessarily. And what I look at too is when I'm starting a podcast with somebody, when I'm starting up social media, like, it is marketing. Like, I understand it's organic and maybe it's just a consistency thing just to stay in front of people, but it's still marketing and it needs to be leveraged as such. So we have to make sure that we're very dialed into what we're kind of accomplishing and what's the goal, what's the objective of our marketing in the first place. So that being said, I think I'm still running on this. So okay, cool. Once again, like, if you are watching live, feel free to drop a comment. If you guys have any questions, interrupt me. I'm going to be monitoring these comments as we go along. All right. So that being said, three of the biggest, these aren't the 3 reasons why content marketing fails, but these 3 things eventually do lead to the 3 reasons why. I like doing things in threes. So 3 hurdles of content marketing. Number 1 is time, 2 is resources, and 3 is knowledge. And in my experience, all 3 of these things normally, like, it's normally not just one of these things. So let me give you an example. Somebody comes to me and says, I want to start a podcast, and I think that'd be worthwhile. I think my demographic fits in with that. I think that I really should just kind of get it going. But I don't have the time, and I don't really know how to get it going, but I also don't have the staffing, the personnel, a service provider to help me with it. That literally encompasses all 3 of these things. So what I want to do on this, the objective of my 5-day workshop that I'm doing here is to eliminate these 3 things. Is I want you to be able to go in with it knowing how much time it's going to take you, knowing how to actually establish that capacity and that workload for you. Because if you've never put out a podcast before, it's very unrealistic for you to think that you're going to walk in and start doing 2 episodes a week or 3 episodes a week or 5 a week. Maybe you could do 1 a week. Maybe you do 1 every other week, but you start from ground zero and you work your way up from there. It's always hilarious to me when people will come to me and say, like, you know, that Alex Hormozi guy or that Ryan Pineda guy, or, you know, they'd start naming off all these other influencers. And I kind of like, yeah, I know them. Like, what's your question? And then I'll say, like, I want to start a podcast and make it look like that and that sort of thing. And then I'll ask them, how many podcasts have you done or have you been on before? And they give me, not really any. Like, I haven't really started anything. And I think that we set these, and it's an entrepreneur like tendency, of course, like, I get it. Like, our super ambition will get in the way where we want to have this bar set that's very unrealistic, not see all the years of work that those guys did, those influencers did to get to where they're at currently. And we want to skip that line and go straight to the top like that. But in organic content, it's just not the way it works. And you got to understand too, some of these people have built their influencer or social media profiles like off the waves of some, like, basically like different types of algorithms that have come up. Like, some of these guys built amazing TikTok profiles when it was hot and it was super easy to get good organic reach, and then now that's completely gone, but they use that wave to push people to their podcast or to their YouTube channel, or vice versa. And there's just so much subjectivity to it. So we want to dial in how much time it's going to take you, what works for your capacity, what realistically. Make sure you got the proper resources in place. So that could be personnel, that could be camera gear, that could be lighting, microphones, whatever it is, like software to actually stream on or to record your content. And then knowledge. Like we need to know, like, from a process standpoint, from a system standpoint, or how the frequency, like how often are we posting, that sort of thing. Those are the things that we really want to dial into within these next 5 days that we're doing this. So once again, I will be having kind of like a workshop guide put together for each day, and then probably one for like the entire thing. So if you guys do want that, you can reach out to me. You can comment on anything here, and I'll give you my email. And I also have that at the bottom here. So let me take a quick drink. But once again, if you are joining me live, please feel free to say hello in the comments. I am monitoring those, and I would love to answer any questions that anybody has as we go along. I know we just got started. So first things first is we got to make sure we understand social media is marketing. I already talked about this, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but we can't just be looking at social media as like awareness is, to me, a cop-out word, like keyword buzzword, if you will, for marketers to just say like we're not getting results. That's literally what it is. But at the end of the day, awareness is important. You have to have awareness in like the market that you are operating within. However, we still need to make sure that all of our content, our social media, our podcasts, our YouTube, replace that term social media with any of those, is being treated as marketing. That's ultimately what it is to drive leads and traffic to who we are and what we do. And you got to understand and remember too that not every platform is going to work for you. You might have a donut shop and you think, I'm going to start a podcast. Well, is that properly where your demographic is going to be hanging out? Or, unless you're actually teaching people how to start a donut shop or run one themselves or whatever, or if you can hit it from a different angle, I don't know, maybe you're doing reviews or whatever. But social media, absolutely. Like you need to be putting content out if you have a donut shop on social media. But then also I look at, I work with a lot of real estate investors, and maybe they don't have coaching, they don't have any sort of like programs that they can bring students into or whatever, and they'll want to start a podcast because they just want to have that presence. And I'll say, well, who's your demographic? They'll say, well, it's single family home motivated seller leads, like they're going to sell me their house. And I'll say, well, to me, like marketing to a motivated seller lead, yes, we want referrals. However, that is a transactional relationship. So it really doesn't make sense for us to start a podcast directed towards them, because we're not going to have a motivated seller lead or leads, hundreds of them, lined up out the door to listen to our podcast on a weekly basis. It's just not the way it works. They're not going to be following that. You're going to hit them with one piece of content, and then they might find relevance in it, contact you, sell your house, and you're never going to hear from them again. Typically, that's the way it's going to work. So we got to make sure that we're looking at these things in the right scope when it comes to the platform that works for us. And every single one of those needs to have a purpose. We need to have a conversion plan, which I'm not talking about building out like a 40-step funnel and that sort of thing, but you definitely need to have a place where you're pushing people. And then also know your demographic. Know them better. I always say know your demographic better than they know themselves. Their tendencies, where they hang out, how they consume content, how much of that content they consume. You really need to understand who you are working with. So a couple of statements here is, number one is you really want to create high value content, and all these things that we go over this week are going to be kind of centered around this. And this is a quote that I like to bring up in all my presentations. It says, people don't buy the best products and services. They buy the products and services they understand the fastest. And the truth in content marketing is that we can help our target customer understand who we are and what we do faster by feeding content to them. And that's where the whole awareness things come in. When it comes to marketing, like I had mentioned earlier. However, I don't look at it as awareness. I look at those touch points, those follow-up pieces in our marketing to make sure that we are omnipresent. We are everywhere that our target customer is looking, so that if somebody thinks about like, I need to sell my house, or I want to go to a donut shop that's local, there's no question in their mind. They saw your social media post because they got hit by it because you're local. Then they're going to walk into your shop and say like, hey, I saw you on social media. And then all of a sudden there's this whole new aura that comes up for you. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So 3 reasons social media content marketing fails. And again, I don't know if I have anybody on, but if you are watching live, I am monitoring these comments. So feel free to jump in and ask any questions that you guys have or whatever. Let me see here 1 second. And for some reason, I think that. Ho ho! Hold on, guys, 1 second. It looks like my Facebook Live is only set to me. That's not cool. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm so sorry. If you are watching live, invite collaborator. That's not fun. Okay, Riverside, why is that happening? I'm so sorry, guys. Hang on 1 second. Let me take a look on why. So this is again, like, this is a great example. Like, I'm testing these things to see how they work. This isn't an excuse. Okay, let me take a look at this. Why is this not? All right. Hang on and do not go anywhere. Let me stop this feed, stop sharing. Okay. So as I'm talking here, I will say too, if you're gonna do stuff like what I'm doing, this is a good lesson, right? You want to test it. You want to make sure that it's working well. Today I was fully expecting to run into something, but this is where the capacity thing comes in. I can troubleshoot this myself and you know, figure things out as I'm working. And I'm going to be using like ChatGPT to figure this out too. So on Riverside, I'm streaming to Facebook Live, but it's not public. But YouTube's doing well, I think. Let me take a look here. Yeah, YouTube's still going. That's weird. Okay, so all right, so on Riverside, we're going to check streaming destinations. Go to Facebook destinations, set up issues to your privacy, only me. All right, hang on, guys. Edit live video. Maybe that's where I want to go. Facebook is important. That's why I'm focused on this, to make sure that we got this going correctly. Normal latency on publish viewer. All viewers message live tab. Nope. Insights dashboard distribution. Live boost clipping. Okay, hang on here. All right, once again, sorry if you guys are live right now. Facebook is not being friendly with me right now, so I got to figure that out. Edit live video. Page live video post, 3 dots on the edit. Okay, hang on. So we're gonna go out of this. I don't know why this is doing that. So I'm gonna restart this live video. So apologize. If you're on YouTube, then you still got a little bit of value, but I'm going to start this over on Facebook. So I'll be right back.